Excellent. Well, Tracey, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So I'm looking forward to getting into your story. I want to begin with this. 5 years ago, this pandemic threw everything into so many levels of unknown. And at this point, 5 years ago, we didn't know when we were going to get out of it, what was going on. So ultimately, how did you get through that time period? And how did it affect the way that you do business today?
Well, back in COVID time, I was in corporate world.
Yeah.
And so I worked from home like a lot of other people. And I was one of the people who was terrified of getting outside.
Yeah.
So I stayed home for about a year and a half. I didn't go anywhere. The only time that I went somewhere was to maybe return something for Amazon. But mentally, emotionally, I struggled like a lot of people, and I reached out to my family, and they were supportive, of course. But there was a part of me that felt comfort, took comfort in the solitude for a while. It was really nice to me for a while. But as far as my business that I have today didn't start until about a year ago. So
Okay.
in COVID, I was in corporate and just at home like everyone else.
At one point, I remember during the pandemic, I would take my son and there was a nature sanctuary next to us. And I remember I pulled up at one point, we were just watching the lake, and all of a sudden I saw someone hop out in a car next to me. They had this huge telephoto lens, and they were taking a picture of the bald eagle. And they were like, they looked over and said, "We've been waiting for this for 10 years." And I think the earth slowed down and quieted enough for these animals that typically would
Yeah.
hide, right? And it was
Yeah.
like, there was in fact, at one point I saw I was driving down like a country road and I saw a dog chasing a deer, which I've never seen anything like that. And it was just, and it wasn't like aggressive. It was just the dog was like, "Wow, what is this big, huge animal?" And it was just kind of chasing it. But there was little things like that, like you said, in the solace of this planet, things slow down and things were happening that were different.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was part of it was really nice.
yeah,
Of course, I say that because I didn't get sick. I don't know anyone, that was horribly affected. So my perspective is different, but it definitely slowed everything down. And I
yeah.
think it was, everything happens for a reason. Whether we understand it or agree with it, there is a reason that all happened. And yeah.
So let me ask you this. So in 2025, right now, if I was to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds at career day in this new incarnation of the business you created a year ago, and someone was to say, "What do you do for a living?" How would you answer them?
I would say that I am an intuitive life coach and speaker and author. And this is all new, like I said, it's all new. So my speaking has been limited. I am crafting a talk that I am hoping to share
Yeah,
more broadly. And, I have done a talk to kids and I talked about my author journey. I wrote a small little book. As you know, I'm psychic. And I was guided to write this book. And so I shared that journey with the little kids. And it was like a little family reading night. So I read a little bit for them. It was fun.
it's awesome. So let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, what was your dream life? What did you want to be when you grew up?
It's funny. I didn't have much of a dream because I have a cleft lip and palate, and
Yeah.
I always let it hold me back. I always thought that my voice, that I was so insecure of, held me back. And so I didn't have big dreams because I just thought my life was just going to suck, basically, and I'm limited. I'm not going to be able to interact with people, and people can't hear me, can't understand me. And I had all these horrible beliefs that I hadn't worked through at the time, and it held me back. And so I was just like taking one day at a time and just wanted people to like me and to talk to me. And I was just really shy and insecure, and I didn't really have any thoughts about the future.
So what gave you the confidence? What allowed you to get into this entrepreneurial mindset and do podcasting and all of these things? What changed for you?
There are a few things that changed. One, the catalyst for me was when my mom passed away in 2018, and I started this spiritual journey. And long story short, I just kind of went on a journey of discovering who I was, what I wanted in life, because I was miserable at the time in my job. And that spills over into your personal life.
Yeah.
And I knew that there was more to life than the life I was living. And I started exploring different practices and connecting with angels and guides. And I started practicing Reiki, which is energy healing.
Yeah.
And over time, also, digging into my belief system and healing and all that. And over time, I started to become psychic. And I was guided and still am being guided to use my voice and to get out of my comfort zone and to understand that the beliefs I had as a child that people can't hear me, can't understand me. Like, okay, some people maybe can't,
Yeah.
but by and large, people can.
Hmm.
So I started questioning those beliefs. Like, is it really true that nobody can hear me or understand me? No, it's really not.
Right.
And so it's really just doing that inner work and with the help of, the psychic guidance, divine guidance that I've been receiving is they're pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I'm doing what I've been guided to do and it's been a challenge, but it's been great. It's been fun, but challenging.
Yeah. So, my son's on the spectrum and I didn't know if he was ever going to talk. He's 20 now. And I remember in the very beginning when he was getting speech therapy, I was like, "Can you just tell me if he's going to talk?" And she was like, "Oh no, he's going to talk." And now he's constantly talking. There's things that can be difficult. Sometimes people have a hard time. I have to be kind of an interpreter sometimes for people, but I understand all those small steps that he's taken that have been really big for him to get
Yeah.
that confidence, like reading the announcements at school. And at one time when he was really small, we won a contest and he got to say play ball before the Royals game, and that was a
Wow.
big moment. So it's like
Yeah.
there's all of these little moments that we all need, but when you're having problems with people understanding, like if you can have those moments, it just the confidence is the main thing. Once you get the confidence, it's and like you said, people can understand him. I mean, there's no doubt people, and the empathy too. I think I feel the empathy from people, and they're more willing to kind of lean in and help and be a little bit more in tune,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, it takes time. It's not like all of a sudden, oh, I'm confident.
Right.
It's a process. It's
Yeah.
been, a journey of several years, and I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
my moments.
So let me ask you this. Of everybody in your life, who's been the inspirational force for you, the hero that's allowed you to become who you are today?
Well, my mom, really, even though she's passed now, I admire her so much. She was my best friend in life, and I still connect with her every now and then now. Even though she's deceased, she'll come into my dreams, or I'll just know she's around me. But she was the most kindest, generous person I've ever met. And I'm not saying that because she's my mom, because I
Yeah.
really genuinely believe that. And so I want to, I strive to be more like her.
Yeah. So how did living in that corporate life allow you to get this confidence to do your own thing, to be your own boss? How did all that kind of transpire and evolve?
Yeah, well, I was in the mortgage industry for 26 years, and I was either unhappy or downright miserable for probably over half of it.
Yeah.
And because I was so out of alignment with who I really was. I'm not someone who can get excited about working for someone else and having so much structure. I like the freedom to be able to do what I want and connect with people in ways that I want. And I ended up getting laid off from my job in December 2022 because they were downsizing. And so many people had been laid off, and I had been there 17 years. And it's not that I didn't think it was, impossible for me to get laid off, but I just thought, I'm more secure than some people. But they kept laying people off and laying people off. And so that layoff, after the initial, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Which lasted maybe 15 minutes. And I was like, oh, wait, no, this is a great thing. I've been miserable.
Uh-huh.
God is closing that door for me and opening another one. And not long after that, I started receiving more messages from my angels and guides to start writing a book and to use my voice.
Yeah.
And they kept showing me in front of a microphone and writing. And the first step I knew was to write a book.
Yeah.
And so I started writing this book. And maybe a month or so after I started writing it, I had received a message. I heard them say, and I saw the words, get changed, how to become the master of your own life. And I thought, oh no. I knew that was supposed to be the topic and title of my book. And I thought, I just got laid off my job. I'm unemployed. I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up. And you want me to write a book on mastering life? Like, I think you might have the wrong person.
Yeah.
and it took me a little while, but I finally realized that the book wasn't just for the readers. It was just as much for me as it was for them.
Yeah.
And it was really about learning how to step into your power and create the life that you want. And so through that journey of writing the book, I was learning to step into my power too and create the life that I wanted,
Yeah.
which I knew I didn't want corporate,
Right.
but what did I really want? And so I knew that I was being guided to use my voice because I held myself back for so long. And I thought, okay, so started going on podcasts. I created my own podcast on YouTube, and
Yeah.
it's not, it's just like videos of me trying to get more comfortable.
Sure. Sure.
And it just started speaking more in general. It's been quite incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, e- especially on the intuitive side of things, how do you protect yourself? Because you got to get involved with heavy stuff. How do you keep yourself protected and continue to evolve with being able to help people and see, things that we can't see? How do you do that?
Well, I do a lot of like meditation and deep breathing. And sometimes I'll just envision like golden light to clear my energy. I don't shake it off. You know how like basketball or sports people like shake it off.
Oh
So I
yeah,
shake it off or do like dry bathing. But I primarily like meditate and just relax.
yeah,
Just kind of shake off energy and movement, just movement in general.
yeah.
Um,
So let me ask you this. If you can meet one fascinating person on the planet right now that you find inspirational, that's overcome or that's just a wonderful human being and you could spend some time with them. Is there anybody out there that you would like to meet and talk to?
Oh, interesting. I've never given that any thought. But I think the first person that comes to mind is probably Mel Robbins.
Okay. Yeah.
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 She uh she is intriguing. I think a lot of people are drawn to her because she's so authentic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the one thing about helping people get to a better place is it takes us to make that step, it requires risk. What's the biggest risk that you've taken in your life?
Going down this journey of self-employment.
Yeah.
I have never been a risk taker in my life. And for me to have this insecurity of financial insecurity and not knowing where the next paycheck is coming from, it is a big risk for me. For some people, it's like, no big deal, but
Yeah.
it's challenging for me. But I kind of like it. I like having the control of, well, I can work as much or as little as I want, and I can get creative in ways to bring in, financial resources, So I like it, but it's a challenge.
So let me ask you this. When you decided that you were going to take control and run your own venture and be an entrepreneur, was there a client that convinced you made the right decision? Was there a moment that convinced you, or was it just, it's been kind of this collective feeling since you decided?
I just knew that it was, like I said, God closed that door and He's given me an opportunity. I keep being guided to stay on this path. Like whatever you do, be on this path. This is your path.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's going slow because it feels that way to me. But I'm being reassured that I am on the right track. Like trust, you're on the right track. Okay.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on all this evolution and all this wisdom that you've gained over the years, what advice would you give?
I would say love yourself more.
Yeah,
You are so worthy of anything you can possibly want, and you can achieve whatever it is you want. You
yeah,
don't have to give so much weight to other people and what they think of you
yeah,
because you have everything you need within you and you know how sweet you are. I've always known that I consider myself sweet. I always have, but I thought nobody saw that side of me. They just made assumptions.
yeah.
And so I would tell her, you are sweet, you are capable, and you are worthy of a beautiful life, and you can achieve it.
So if you were to go into a room of everybody that knew you from that corporate life, and even all of your clients that you've helped so far now, and you could tell them one fun story, one fun anecdote, something that they may not know that would humanize you in a different way, what would be a really fun story or fun fact?
Fun fact, wow. I would say that I don't know why this is coming to mind, but when I was growing up, we lived in the middle of nowhere and
Yeah.
we had no electricity, no running water.
Wow.
We lived on 20 acres. And we had a windmill that generated water, but it broke after like 3 months. And so we had no water. I had to shower in a crate outside. My mom would go to town once a week and fill up the gallon jugs of milk and just put water in them.
Yeah.
And so we had a generator, so we had a stove. So we heat up half the gallon and then mix it together and she would like splash a couple of tablespoons of water. Okay, lather up. I'm in this wooden crate like a coffin size standing up.
Oh,
Like, can
wow.
I get more water? And we had an actual outhouse, not a porta potty.
Yeah.
And we left it for a few years. And so, yeah, I think people might be surprised to hear that. Because now, like, camping? No, I don't do camping.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
So, of all of these things that you've accomplished and overcome and evolved into in your life, what are you the proudest of?
I would say that I am getting out of my comfort zone and learning how to do that and really just doing little things like this,
Yeah,
using my voice on a podcast. I
sure.
am proud of myself for as far as I've come so far. And I know I have more work to do, of course, but I'm proud
Yeah,
of myself for
yeah. So at the end of the day, Tracy, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone you know, but you're in control. You run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I would say I am learning, evolving, and just this sweet person that wants to serve. I'm all about serving others, and I am finding different ways to do that.
So, what's the best thing about living in Sacramento?
The weather,
Yeah.
yeah, the weather and just the proximity to everything you could possibly want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So, if anyone wants to pick up your book, get changed, if anybody wants to reach out, hire you, anything else that's going on in your world, where's the best place to go?
It's the best place to be on my website, and it's traceynapier.com,
Okay.
and all of my social links are on there as well, so you can find out more about me there.
Okay, excellent. Tracy, this has been wonderful. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.